Today I'm sharing with you some tips and tricks on how to cut into those tall cakes, how to get those nice slices, and what I do with all the extra cake around my house. Welcome back to Shilly's Bakes Cakes. I get a lot of questions about how you cut into those tall cakes. The trick to cutting into tall cakes is you need a big knife. I always use a very big knife, and my other tip for you guys is to put your knife under hot water, run it under hot water, and then slice into your cake, and it will give you nice, even slices, and they'll be so much easier to cut into because the cake won't stick to your knife. So make sure you run it under hot water. All right, so here's my tall cake, and we're just gonna cut straight through. We're gonna cut it right in half. We're just gonna get our big knife, run it under hot water, and cut right in half. After we've cut the cake in half, make sure to run your knife in hot water. You can also get a cup, fill it up with some hot water, and set it next to you so you don't have to keep running back to the sink. Dip your knife back in that water. We're gonna start at the very end of our cake, and we're gonna start cutting straight. So my slices look more like rectangle slices instead of triangle slices. We're gonna go straight down with our knife. We have a nice slice of cake. Then we'll put our knife back in the water, and then we're gonna cut it again all the way until we get all the way to the end of our cake. Right here I'm cutting bigger, thicker slices just to show you different ways on how to cut our cake. So I cut all the way to the end, and now obviously these cakes are too thick and too big for one person to eat alone, so then I'll get my knife here and I'm gonna cut them right in half again. Right on my cutting board. I just set the cakes there and then we'll cut them right in half. So now you have a big, pretty piece of cake, but it's not too much cake. And if it still is too much cake, you can also cut them in half so it's a little bit smaller for kids. I usually do that for my kids so it's not as much cake. And now we'll do it again on the other side, and just do the same thing, guys. Just make sure your knife is clean and you run it under hot water or dip it in hot water. And then we'll just start again and we'll cut all the way. These ones I'm doing a little bit thinner, the slices, just to show you the difference. You can do them thinner, thicker, whatever your preference is. And then we'll go all the way down here to the end. I didn't clean off my knife here on the last cut. The last cut is always a little tricky in any cake, so just cut through it and get that cake cut. Now you have a whole bunch of cake to share with your family and friends. My next tip for today is, you guys always ask what I do with all the extra cake in my house. I don't always have extra cake. I usually give a lot of it away, and sometimes I reuse the cakes and frost them, so I definitely recycle cake, but sometimes I have too much cake in the house. Particular long filming week, I will have more cake around. So this is a good tip for anyone who wants to make cake and doesn't know what to do with it. So guys, guess what? We're gonna wrap our individual cake slices that we just cut in saran wrap, and we are just going to wrap them up. So just set them in the middle of your saran wrap and wrap up those individual slices, and then we're gonna place them in the freezer. And you can just take your cake out. One day you're like, oh my gosh, I'm having a rough day, I need some cake. Voila, you've got cake in the freezer. Pull it out, let it thaw. It doesn't take long to thaw, and you have a nice fresh piece of cake. It will last up to 3 to 4 months in the freezer, and it will be fresh and awesome when you want to eat a piece of cake. Having a rough day, I need some cake. You just want some cake. You have it. You had a long day at work. Oh, I need some cake. You got it right there in the freezer. So we just wrap up those individual cake slices and place them in the freezer, and you have cake whenever you want it. I hope you liked my tips and tricks today on how to cut into a tall cake and how to keep your cake slices fresh and delicious. Thanks so much for watching here at Shilly's Bakes Cakes. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, guys, and have an awesome day.